see the chats over here. Yeah, many chats.
So, welcome to this live stream. I'm glad that you all have joined in. So, myself, Dr. Akshata Nayak, I have done my MD in the subject of Materia Medica, and I am currently working as a lecturer in Department of Materia Medica at MLD MHI, and I'm also practicing in Vile Parle, Mumbai. So I would like to know if the those who have joined, if how many of them are students or UG or PG or practicing consultants. So that would be a good start. You can comment in the comment section. Yeah. What are your thoughts? What are your experiences when it comes to Materia Medica? How did you go about this subject, understanding or learning this subject when you were exposed to it? You can share your experiences in the comment section. Because as a student of Materia Medica, I've always found this subject very challenging. So I would like to know your thoughts on it. So, as a student of Materia Medica, I me and my friends mostly, used to feel that it is a very dry subject, a very boring subject. It has too many symptoms and too many remedies. And at the end of the day, it was very difficult to remember like which symptom is in which remedy and which remedy has which symptoms. And at the end of the day, it was all a cluster, a clump, and it was very difficult to remember all the symptoms, all the remedies, and its repercussions are seen in practice when we are applying it to a case and applying Materia Medica to case and coming up to a prescription. So until now, we have been subjected to a method of learning that is by memorizing. So, but when it comes to memorizing and materia medica, it hardly does any good to us, as it is my experience. Even Dr. Kent, even Dr. Kent in Kent has commented on this in his lectures on homeopathic materia medica. This book, we all must be very familiar with this one. So, Dr. Kent, in his lectures to Materia Medica, in the preface to first edition, Dr. Kent says, the Materia Medica can be learned by careful study and by using it. It can be understood but not memorized. All who would memorize the Materia Medica must ignominiously fail. And further, he goes on to saying that to learn the materia medica, one must master Hahnemann's organon, and after which symptomatology and organon go hand in hand. And the organon and symptomatology and a full repertory must be constant reference books if careful homeopathic prescribing is to be attained and maintained. So, this is evident in the cases. When we take a case, we collect symptoms. We collect symptoms. We make a list of symptoms of mind and body. This is the data that we have collected. But it is important to understand what meaning do we give to this data. How do we understand this data that we have collected? Thus, the data that we have collected is not the totality. So, what is the totality? So, life is a phenomenon. So life is a phenomenon. So, this phenomena we have to understand. The living of life is the totality. So, we have to understand uh, life of the patient, the living of life of the patient, as well as the life in the materia medica. Thus, materia medica is something beyond. Materia medica is something beyond memorizing the black and white pages of materia medica books, but understanding, perceiving the grays in them. So we will try to understand this with example of a case. So I will share a few instances of the case. So this is a case of a 21-year-old female who had come for respiratory complaints. So when the patient was 11 years of age, she had her menarche, and since then she had menses daily, every day for 1 month, and it was a heavy flow. She consulted many doctors, and but there was no relief. All the reports suggested everything was normal. All her UIGs were normal, but the patient was growing anemic, and the doctors had suggested, this was when the patient was 11 years of age, and the doctors had suggested that she would require blood transfusion, but the patient herself denied that she will correct her HB levels through dietary measures. And when we go ahead to understand this, the patient said that her father was a lone earning member, and the financial condition was very poor. So, and because of all her complaints, her parents had to spend too much money on her, and there were many problems and many expenses, and they used to constantly worry about the patient, and this all was making patient feel very bad and sad about it. Thus, the patient used to get suicidal thoughts, and she also attempted once or twice. And later, when the health was becoming better, the patient left her school. This is around 12 to 13 years of age. The patient left her school, and she started working. She joined a few small companies and started earning. So the patient said that I had this desire to earn money since childhood, that even my siblings did not have this much desire to earn, but only I had. And this is because I want to earn and I want to take care of myself, because father is lone member, why to put burden on him? So I want to take care of myself, I will earn, and I will not put burden on my parents. So let us analyze this event of the patient. So we see that the patient, through this event, we see that the patient is has that conscience, that being a burden on someone, and the process that leads on to. So what was available to us is the actions of the patient. So that the actions in this case was the suicidal attempts, and the other side is she started earning too early. So whenever there are actions, so there is always some precursor to it. There is always a cause, a thought, an emotion to it. Something, some action cannot come out of nowhere suddenly. This process has to go on. So the cause, so what we understand of this cause is the her disposition was the conscientious disposition, where the patient uh, was sensitive, and she understood that she was this made her think that she was becoming a burden on the family. And this thought process led her to generate some emotions, that the emotions were anger, that and the anger was projected towards herself, that she was angry with herself, that she is a burden, and she is burden on super added financial bad conditions. And this all was leading to anger on herself, and this led to the actions which we just saw. So so even we when analyze any event or any aspect of the patient, so we have to go from the behavior. We have to understand why certain things are coming, because we find it suicidal disposition or suicidal attempts. If we try to find rubrics, we can, there are so many remedies which are there, but what has led to the this suicidal attempt, or what has led to earning early in life? Because the patient says I had desire to earn, so there are so many remedies that are ambitious, but what has led to this ambitiousness is more important than the expression of it. Let's go further and see the nature of the patient. So we see that the patient is very reserved, and she never used to share anything with anybody. And why is that so? Because she used to feel that if she says something to anyone, the opposite person might get hurt. So this was the concept that the patient was working on, that she should not hurt somebody, that it is wrong to hurt someone else. So this the right and wrong, the conscience which the patient has always been the pattern in her life. She always is acting on the conscience which is there. And this was one side of the patient. And let us see the other aspects of the patient. So now we see that the patient is a short tempered patient. So that is, she gets angry easily and she is irritable. So let us see why the anger, why the irritability. So there was one event where her paternal grandmother used to not like her mother. So paternal grandmother used to harass her mother. So once this was going on in front of her, the patient. The patient thought, the patient got ignited with anger, and she started throttling her grandmother. So why should this happen? So the patient thought, according to the patient, that troubling someone is not right, is unjust, and this provoked anger in her, and the expressions of anger were violent. And one more event we will share. that when she was in school, some boy teased her, and the patient said that I do not like this kind of behavior. Teasing and all is not good. So the patient did not like this behavior, and she slapped and kicked the boy. So we see a pattern emerging, that there is some concept, some working principle that the patient is on, that is the conscience, the right and wrong, and then it generates some kind of emotions, and then certain actions are seen. So after all the anger has been expressed, and the other aspect, this is one aspect, and the other aspect why the patient gets angry is if anyone contradicts her or blames her, even if it is her mistake. The patient and someone says that, see, because of you this has happened, so this blaming also the patient cannot tolerate, and she gets angry and expresses her anger. And after this expression of anger is done, the patient goes into this guilt, that why did I do this, why did I hit the person, why did I say something to that person in anger, I should not have done this. So then she goes into thinking and brooding about this. So here also we see a pattern, that something is generating anger, and the anger is being expressed, and it does not stop there, it goes ahead. It goes ahead, and it goes into guilt, that the patient starts blaming her own self. She starts reproaching her own self, that why did I do that. So this is the pattern which the patient was showing. So with this we the rubrics which we could consider were contradiction, intolerance of, conscientious about trifles, reproaching oneself, injustice cannot. So this so the close coming remedies which were coming up were Ignatia, Nux vomica, Aurum and Staphylos agria. So the patient was prescribed Ignatia. So let us understand Ignatia, and how do the authors have expressed Ignatia. So after differentiating with these other remedies which were close coming, uh, we have understood Ignatia. So this is Herring's guiding symptoms. We will just see few symptoms from it. So we see the author has written sensitive disposition and an hyperacute feeling. So give attention to the specific words that have been used. These are not general words they have used. They are specifically use certain words. So it says sensitive disposition and hyperacute feeling, finely sensitive mood, and delicate conscientiousness. Now, why does the author use an adjective like delicate? So we have to understand, go beyond conscience, because if we see conscience, then there are so many remedies which come up in conscience. So this particular remedy, the author describes it as delicately conscience. So what is delicate? So delicate has two aspects to it, two meanings. So first meaning is it is subtle, fine, something refined, highly sensitive. And the second aspect to the word meaning delicate is something that is fragile, that can break very easily. So if we see this both aspects, we can see in this patient, where she is highly sensitive. The hyper acute sensitivity she has perceived at the age of 11, where she is understanding that he is being a burden on her parents, and she has perceived it. And then the fragility, that the conscience, something acutely comes up, and the conscience is being affected so hard that it gets it gets destroyed, it gets damaged, it gets that thing, and the actions which we see in two ways is the anger directed to her own self, and in the second case she is trying to overcompensate and earn. So it is important to give value to each word which the author has used. And further, Dr. Herring says that inconstant, impatient, irresolute, and quarrelsome, slightest blame or contradiction excites him to anger. So we have seen that slightest blame and contradiction has excited our patient as well, and she expresses her anger, but it does not stop there. Even the author has gone on to say, and this makes him angry with himself. So the patient becomes angry with himself, and then the state of reproach comes up, reproaching own self. So this was from Herring's guiding symptoms. Let us go on to understand what Dr. Kent has to say in his lectures. Yeah. So Dr. Kent says that ignatia is frequently required and is especially suited to sensitive, delicate women and children, and to hysterical women. You will not cure the natural hysterics with ignatia, but you will cure those gentle, sensitive, fine fibered, refined, highly educated, overwrought women in their nervous complaints with ignatia when they take on complaints that are similar to such symptoms as common hysteria. But a woman, when overwrought, that is agitated, overwrought and overexcited and emotional, that is when some cause comes, the women become overwrought, overexcited and emotional, and will do things that she herself cannot be accounted for. She will do things as if she were crazy in her excitement, will do things she regrets, that is she will feel sorry later for the things she has done in her highly emotional, highly excited state, while the hysteric is always glad of it. But this patient is will be sorry about it, she will regret it later, no matter how much foolishness it is. Yeah, this is about the hysterics that we'll feel proud of, but our efforts go out for those who imitate them unconsciously. So this is not a conscious effort, and those who will to do well. So in the end, they are trying to do well, but they are so sensitive, so overwrought, and so refined and so delicate that they do certain things and later they regret it. So this was a glimpse of how we should go about understanding our materia medica. So we can also understand the remedies which have come up in differentiation in these similar lines, because if we see nux vomica, if we see oramate, those also have suicidal tendencies, suicidal dispositions. But we have to learn in this manner that what causes, what emotion, and what thought process goes behind in creating such an action or a behavior. So we'll have a quick short Q&A if anybody has any doubts. You can put your doubts, your experiences, you can share them in the comment section. Yeah, so we have a question that healing with homeopathy is asking us that how to know which materia medica is authentic when it comes to referencing. So I would suggest that our masters, our source books are the most authentic. That is our Materia Medica Pura, Allen's Encyclopedia, Herring's Guiding Symptom, uh, Kent's lectures, and so on. So these are more authentic, and these are the source book which we consider. Yes. Uh, please discuss differential. Discuss differential of the other close remedies. Of course, it is a very important in every case, especially. But I guess this session will fall short in differentiating all the close remedies. We can do is we can keep another session on discussing the differentials of the close coming remedies, and we can only discuss the uh, different and differentiate, compare and contrast the close coming remedies. So I think it won't do justice if we have limited time. It won't do justice to all the remedies. So we can keep another session on it. Thank you for asking this uh, important question. So in conclusion, I would again uh, quote Dr. Kent. If anybody is having more questions, can let us know. So, in conclusion, I will again quote Dr. Kent again from the preface of Materia Medica lectures. So, Kent says that there is no royal road to perfect understanding of Materia Medica. It is tedious and drudgery at its best, but no more so than any great science. So it is tedious task to understand, learn Materia Medica, but we have to go on about it and keep understanding and keep learning and keep sharing our experiences so that we as a community learn better. Thank you all for joining this session. Uh, until next time. Thank you.